Hi everyone, this is the third video on the elemental estimate. So yeah, here we go. Okay, welcome back. So this is all where we left off. I just went through the different sheets and the displays of it, and now in this video we're going to look at the actual measurements and how to bring it forward into your elemental estimation. So again, you need to, if you go to your component level or your elemental guideline, so our first item that we can tick, which we have in our example, we have unreinforced strip footings. If you've got reinforced strip footings, you will use the second option. Okay, my apologies for that again. I just put my phone on do not disturb, so let's hope that or my Skype, so let's hope it works. Okay, so whenever you've when you go through your building, you need to decide whether it will be a reinforced strip footing or you may have reinforced strip footing. It depends on the ground conditions and the structural engineers, so please have a look on your drawings. But okay, so this is our first item that we could tick, and then we go to our elemental estimate. We put in that description of the component, and then we put in the actual description here. In the next item, we'll have a look at if you have more than one description. If, for instance, you have different foundations for different sections, like for instance the internal wall, you might not need a strip footing of 800 millimeters wide, you might need one of 600, then you measure that separately, okay, because your rate will differ in that instance. Okay, so you've measured it, you put in the component, you've done your measurement. Let me just get back to our measurements. I actually opened one here, so let me just put this on the screen. So here you've done your measurement, so you've got 36.23, and you will see that it's been transferred as 36 meters into your estimation. Okay, so next thing is that you need to do your rate build-up, and which is the best document. Okay, here we go. So your unreinforced strip footing, so you have 800 millimeter wide by 1.3 meters deep by 1 meter long section. So you want to get it to a meter section. So you've got 1.04 cubes per meter that you need to allow for. So your normal cost for your excavations, which you will get from your bills of quantities. So let's go to our bills of quantities, and let's do this. We've look for foundations. I've used the example that I handed out in the class the other day. So here's brickwork. Actually, we need earthworks. Previous. Okay, so here, oops, next. Okay, so here we are in our earthworks section. Okay, so we've got our site clearance first, we've got our digging up topsoil. Okay, so then we get to our trenches. So here we've got a rate of 65 Rand per cubic meter for excavations in our trenches. So this is for our strip footing. So if we go to our guideline, you will see it includes our excavations, our risk of collapse, backfilling, compaction and proofing, working space, concrete blinding, etc. Okay, so you need to convert it back to a rate per meter. So what we did in the calculation is we got a cost of 38 Rand and 48 cents per meter for this item. Our risk of collapse Okay, so this 37 obviously is not the same as what we've got in the bill because I'm using a different bill. So these are old bill rates that's been used in this instance. Okay, so risk of collapse is item in our bill, and I don't expect you to have all of these items correct, but what I'm going to look at in your task is whether you actually try to look for these rates, and I would just want to see whether it's in the ballpark or not. So when you take your bill of quantities, now you've got your trenches, so now we're looking for risk of collapse. So here we've got risk of collapse, and this is just the allowance if you do your excavations that it doesn't cave in or so. Okay, and then that is usually measured in square meters, and in this instance we had 12 rand, so it has escalated quite a bit since the example. So let's see how it looks when you calculate that. Is so you've got your risk of collapse. They're working on 1.3 meters deep. In the bill that I used, it's 1.5 meters deep, times 1 meter and times 2, because you've got on both ends of your excavation. Okay, so you have 2.6 square meters per meter, so you times it with the rate that you've got in your BOQ and you get your new per meter rate. Same with your concrete. Okay, so now you've got your concrete, you've gone to your elemental guide, you see concrete is included in here, and proof of compaction and proofing. If it's in your BOQ, you can use that, but if you use your concrete and your blinding and formwork, etc., then that's fine for me, as long as you get to a relative accurate estimation by including whatever you have. But importantly, I need to see how you actually calculated these rates, so please include that in your task that you have to submit. Okay, so let's go back to our estimate, to our calculation. Then that's a concrete 800 millimeters by 0.3 times 1 meter long. Okay, so it's 0.24 cubes per meter in this instance, times your rate. Concrete is these days 2,400, so you will see there's a big difference in the rate. Then we've got backfilling. You measure it per cube again. I'm not going to do too much on this, but it's basically you've got your strip footing minus your wall that you've got there, so it's on the side of your wall. If I just go to the drawing again, it's basically this section that you have to backfill, that 1 meter deep, 800 millimeters wide, but you don't include your brick wall in that. Okay, so then you take that information. Okay, so that's your width that you've basically calculated here. So it's 0.58 millimeters wide times 1 meter deep times 1 meter long, so you have 0.58 cubes per meter, times it with your rate and your BOQ, and you get your new per meter rate. So then what you will do is you will add all of your rates together to get a new rate, and you will see that it's actually been rounded up to 195 Rand per meter, and that is the rate that you use in your elemental estimate. Okay, and then you times your quantities with your rate to get your estimated rate here. Okay, so then you go to your next item, your brickwork in and block walls within your foundations. Remember, we're still in substructure, and then we've got a 1 brick wall, 1.32 meters high exterior, and then you've got a one brick wall 32 meters high, also measured here. So remember what we've measured, just to go back to our measurements. So one brick wall here, and our second wall, which is our internal wall. So we've got our exterior wall and our internal wall. So you can see that it's been measured separately, our internal and our external, internal and internal walls. Then you go to the example again, do your rate build up. The one brick wall, you can see that we've got our 220mm walls, we've got our facings, DPC dam proof cores, brick force, and then we calculate our estimated rate per meter, and we use that in our measurement. So 250 Rand here, and then you can see how it calculates that item. Okay, so that is basically how you go through your elemental estimate. So you do it section by section, and you do your tick box, and from this you will see it's not very difficult, but it is time consuming to actually go through this. And what you will see is that you will start understanding how the bill of quantities actually works if you take it from your bills of quantities to your elemental estimate. Okay, so I'm not going to go through this too much of the examples. What I'll do is I'll just do another video on, for instance, our plumbing installation. I see I have done one here, and you will see that I've done a unit installation. So let's just go to item 112.10 in our example or guideline. Okay, so our sanitary fittings. So you will see here's a whole lot of different items that you can go through. So the main thing is to make sure that you tick all the boxes, like steam and condensate distribution is not really necessary. Okay, so your sanitary fittings, number of fittings, sanitary fittings and units complete with taps, services, pipes, stopcocks, traps, etc., cupboards and worktops excluding the builder work. So the main thing is what you want to try and do here is to get to an estimate of how each item will fit. So it measures the water closets, urinals, wash and basins and so on. So usually you take your in your bill of quantities, you take your here we go, your plumbing. Let me just see if I can get to that. Ironmongery, tiling, plumbing and drainage. Oops, that's spelled wrong. Okay. Okay, so here we are. Okay, this is the training center. Yeah, that's correct, in section 2. Okay, so if you go through this in your bills of quantities, you will see a whole lot of items included here, but what you want to get to is basically just the rate per unit of your plumbing installation. So you would usually subtract your water and sanitary your water goods. This is just your rainwater pipes that you won't include. Soil drainage, you will include this. Your external works you will exclude basically in your estimation. So manholes and so on. So you will start with your sanitary plumbing, and you will take out all of the items that's included here. So that's the one thing. Then what you need to do is you need to identify all of your items. Okay, so we've got, in this instance, we've got our sanitary fittings, we've got our China wall hung VCs, paraplegic VC, back inlet white sensors, etc. Okay, so what you do is you take all of those components and you do your estimation, and then you do your rate build-up in a similar way as all the others. So in this case, what I've put together, I have sinks with its taps, the service pipes, the stopcocks, etc., and the soil drainage, and I have put that together to get to a rate of how much that will cost. And the best thing would be to do it for all of your different components for your plumbing and sanitation, and to get to this rate. So then what I also did was I did a like a historical overview, just to get to a comparison of how much that the installations actually cost. Let me just make this rands. Okay, and then I took a historical building or a project, and I escalated that to when I did this estimation, and I divided it with the number of fittings that I had to get to a rate of my sanitary plumbing installation of the services to that item. So the main thing is to make sure that you get to a rate that includes all the necessary items in your plumbing and drainage. So you will see I took this 4,294 to my estimate. Okay, and then one can just round this off for the new installation, and then the sanitary plumbing, PVC pipes, etc. This is our soil drainage, and we had 18 items that used that, like for instance PVC, our VCs and so on. And this is just our sanitary fittings. So I've got my sinks that are calculated here, your VCs you'll add here, that's your water closets, urinals, or whatever fittings you've got. So you will do a similar calculation for that. And for instance, to free and okay, and then you would do the same calculation. I'm just going to use the same one that we used here. Okay, to get to our plumbing and drainage installation. Okay, a very nice check here is also is just to calculate what your rate per square meter is, and to compare that maybe with your historical bill, whether it's in the ballpark or not. Okay, so I think that's more or less it. I think what should happen now, you should probably or you should start doing your task, and as you get questions, you're more than welcome to send it through to me, and then we can take it from there. What I'll also do is next week I'll post another video, a couple of videos on the elemental estimation, and then from there on we're going to start doing our payment certificates and yeah, work from there. So yeah, thanks. That is more or less the 3 videos that I wanted to share this week, so that you can get started with your elemental estimate.